Welcome to another installment of Mazar's 3-Minute Spotlight, where we have express interviews with industry experts. I'm Vian Olivier, and today I'm joined by Tassis, who is an expert in our tax consulting department. Tassis, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Vian. Looking forward to the discussion.
Let's kick it off. So over the last couple of years, we've had some very interesting meetings with individuals telling us these whimsical stories about their interpretation of the Income Tax Act and various types of transactions. Now, from that perspective, I mean, the legislation from a tax point of view keeps on changing and keeps on evolving, with new legislation being brought out every single year. How does an individual such as yourself stay up to date with these changing regulations and the new legislation being passed? In addition to that, also the practical aspect of it, of the application of these new legislations being passed.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. The word an ever-changing landscape is so important in the tax world. We see tax amendments on an annual basis where the National Treasury brings out something new. We need to interpret it, we need to understand how it's going to affect our clients. So from our point of view, how we stay up to date, we've got many sources that we can look into, publications, and then just a current debate between the team. But more importantly, how does the client stay up to date? I mean, that's where you have to have a tight-knit group with and trust relationship with your tax advisor to see how can you work with them to understand how the legislation is changing and just how it should be interpreted and how it would affect your business.
So the South African Revenue Services, or SARS as we refer to them, have looked at various ways that they can cast their net as far and as wide as possible, specifically looking at aspects such as cross-border information, where local authorities also share information with foreign revenue collection agencies and vice versa. And the same applies to financial businesses that share information with SARS, specifically, of course, focusing on high net worth individuals. What else are you seeing currently in the market in terms of what is SARS doing to make sure that they cast their nets as far and wide as possible to make sure that all the taxpayers' income is accurately and completely reflected in their income tax returns?
Yeah, so what we've seen is the large business center being created once again after it was broken down previously, and also a center specifically for high net worth taxpayers. And we've really seen that relationship between SARS and the taxpayer really being built, and those centers having properly staffed officials that can understand the concept of a big business, a multinational business, or extreme high net worth individual. It's a different type of taxpayer. But apart from that, obviously the buzzword at the moment is AI. SARS is getting information from, as you said, from all over the globe. It's a data dump that they need to sift through in order to understand how it affects the South African taxpayers. So SARS is really heavily invested there, and we can definitely see it being implemented within the tax returns.
So taxes are usually determined by the local jurisdiction in which an individual or company are domiciled in, and it's based on that government and the fiscal policies and whatever the case may be. But of course, there are instances of multinationals as well. So where we need to assist with double tax agreements or corporate restructurings that impact various jurisdictions. How has Mazars been able to leverage off our integrated model to be able to service clients in this industry and make sure that we give them the advice that essentially is accurate and to a certain extent what they need?
Yeah, so firstly, from a local perspective, we've moved away from an office approach and more into a service line approach. So we've got tax experts actually based throughout the country, because you can no longer be a generalist within the tax system. You need to be specialized. So we've actually got specialized focus areas. For example, people focusing on indirect tax, on tax accounting, global mobility, direct and international tax. So we've got people in certain sectors that are experts in those fields, and they can help clients with specific questions. But apart from that, if we look at multinationals and global projects, Mazars is part of a global partnership, integrated partnership for that matter. And we can easily leverage from our experts in different countries, in different offices. I've recently been part of a project for one of our listed clients with an American aspect that we needed to bring in. We could easily just contact our US office, bring in their portion of the tax advice, integrate with our tax advice, and provide the client with a wholesale solution.
Interesting. Thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Vian.